In this presentation, we will record the receipt of payment for invoices that were created in the past within QuickBooks Pro 2019. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are in the home page. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view tab and open windows list. We're now going to be having a receive payment. What that means is that we are going to be working in the customers section of the home page. And if we look through the flow of the customer section, it generally starts out with the creation of an invoice. And then of course we receive payment on that invoice. Now you would think that this would be the end result, and it could be depending on how you set the system up. However, QuickBooks defaults to a system being set up where we then have to go to the record deposit and then record the deposits that we have then received. This step here is a step we don't often see in like financial accounting. It's an added step. Why would we have it? First of all, what is the normal process for receiving payment? This create invoice is going to increase accounts receivable, the account that shows that people owe us money, and increase sales, as well as deal with inventory. But that's not what we're concerned with now. And that's different from the create sales receipt, which would be us receiving payment at the point of sale. So this account here would be something, this create sales receipt would be used, say if we're checking out at like a check register or we're getting paid at the same point in time. Increasing cash, increasing revenue or sales. This one is going to be used if we're going to bill the client. We send out the bill, the invoice, that we expect to receive payment on later in the future. So we're imagining here that this is the one we have, right? We sent out a bill and we're going to receive payment in the future. Now we're going to receive payment. If we think about financial accounting, that's usually the two things that we end up doing. We increase the receivable, record sales, then we receive payment on it, and usually increase the checking account and decrease the accounts receivable. However, here we're not going to put it. We're going to put it into cash, but not the checking account, because we're going to put it into undeposited funds. The reason being is that we could be receiving payments from multiple people and multiple sources, and we want to deposit it into the bank in the same grouping as it will be shown on the bank statement, so that it'll be easier to reconcile that way. So what we're going to do is wait until all the deposits we have, put it into undeposited funds, an account we call undeposited funds here, group all those deposits for the day up, and then deposit them in one grouping, that grouping then being equivalent to what we will see on the bank statement. So that's going to be our process here. We are now in step 2 of this process, receiving the payment. So we will select this item in the flowchart. It could also be found in the customers and the receive payment items from the drop down. So we've got the payments here. We're going to say receive payment. It's going to be from a customer typically. We're tying this to the invoice. So if we select the drop down, we got a payment from Anderson Guitars. We can imagine getting a check in the mail, Anderson Guitars. So we could select Anderson here or start typing in Anderson and it'll autofill. The amount we got, we could type in the amount now, or we can just go down here and click on it and it'll auto kind of populate the amount. And you would think it would be the same because of course they owed us, in this case, $5,000. So we would expect to get a check for $5,000 if they're going to pay that all at once. And so we'd say if we check this item, these are the 2 invoices we have made. And so if we check this item, it'll populate. Now, if you do not enter the amount received, QuickBooks automatically calculates the amount you select. So that's what it did here. It put it out there automatically. So I'm going to say, don't show me that again. That sounds good. And say, OK. And so there we have that item. Now, if you double click on it, you can see it was populated from this invoice. And it'll actually take you there so we can see that. So I'm going to close that back out. Again, I did that by just double clicking on the date here. So this is going to be the invoice that we are applying out. Now we could put the form of payment here. I'm going to say it's a check, and we're going to say that the date is going to be January 12th. We'll keep that. Check number optional. This isn't the check that we are writing. This is going to be the check number we're receiving, which might be useful for our records, not a required field. And then note that again, What is this form doing? Remember that everything is going to have a journal entry. And so you want to think, okay, what is this going to do to the financial statements when I record this? Well, you would think it would increase cash, and it's going to decrease the receivable from the people that owe us, Anderson Guitar, the customer. It will increase cash, but remember, it's not going to go into the checking account in this case because we defaulted it to this undeposited funds account. So to verify that, you can go to this little icon, where does this payment go? And it's going to say, where does the payment go? QuickBooks groups payments automatically into undeposited funds to make the available deposit later. We recommend that you use undeposited funds account. However, if you want to deposit funds directly into the bank, you can change this default. So in other words, if you get multiple deposits in the same day, then it's very beneficial to group them together so you can deposit them in the bank and record that deposit all at one time. Because when you do the reconciliation, when you match this out to your bank statement, the bank statement will show the deposits grouped together. And you want those things to match so that you can tie your books out to the bank as easily as possible. If, on the other hand, you are only going to be making deposits in the same fashion as they will be in the bank, maybe we only get a few deposits and we're going to deposit them in the bank in the same fashion as we are entering them here, closing this. In other words, every time we get a deposit, we're going to the bank and putting it into the bank, just that deposit we got from that particular customer. Then this is an added step we don't need, and we could change that default setting to be putting it directly into the checking account when we create this form. So we'll see that as we go. So let's save and close this and see if it does what we expect it to do. It's going to save and close and look at the financial statements. So we're going to go to reports up top. We're going to scroll down to company and financial, profit, and let's go down to the balance sheet first. Balance sheet standard. Going to change the date range. I'm going to go to customize dates and make the range here 01/01/19 to 12/31/19. That's the year we will be working on. So January 1st to December 31st, 2019. Okay. Then we're going to say that it's not in the checking account here. What it did is it put it into the undeposited funds. So here's the undeposited funds. They put it into other current assets. It's pretty much cash, right? But it's undeposited funds. But they put it into other current asset accounts. There's our 5,000. If we double click on that, we're going to say, here it is. If we double click on this item, we can see that there's our payment amount. So I'm going to close this back out. Now, ultimately, of course, we want that in the checking account. So that's a step we'll have to take, and we'll show how to go through that process as well. Again, if you want this to go directly in the checking account, every time you make a received payment, then you could change that option in order to do so. And then the other side of this is going to be in accounts receivable, which should have gone down. Double clicking on that item, we're going to say, okay, here's Anderson Guitar, here's the check number, 5,000 decrease. Again, if you double click on that, you're going to see the payment. Now we're going to close this back out. The other document that we really want to track that tracks this number, receivables, is in the reports. And if we go to customer reports, we want to take a look at the customer balance detail. And this will support back up the receivable number. So the total receivables was $16,329. Anderson here paid us that $5,000. We can see that matching out nicely with the beginning balance, $5,000 paid. And again, if you double click on that, back to that customer payment. Okay, so what doesn't happen here, nothing happened to the profit and loss. No income or expense. The revenue was recorded at the point in time that we made the sale. Closing these back out, we're going to take a look at another one. Going to go back to the home, and we're going to go to receive payments. Once again, receive payments. So we've got a payment in the mail. I'm going to say it's Jones Guitars. So we could find that in the drop down and or type it in, Jones Guitars. And I'm going to keep it as a check. We could choose any one of these, of course, for the payment option that we received. And we're going to say 7,500. Let's make this one actually an e-check. We'll just say we got payment through an e-check. We're going to say it's also on January 12th, 2019. and I typed in this time, notice 7,500, the amount of the check, and it auto-populated then this first one. It checked off the first one, and that should apply out, and that'll apply out. This is the amount due, this is the amount applied, and that's good. If we double click on this, we'll find the invoice. If we double click on this item, then there's the invoice. So that's the thing that we sent out that we're now getting payment on. Closing that out, close that out. So that's going to be the second transaction. Again, increasing cash, undeposited funds, however, unless we change this, decreasing accounts receivable, the account tracking the amount owed to us by customers. So let's go ahead and save and close that, and we'll check this one out. We're going to go back to the balance sheet up top. We're going to go to the undeposited funds, which now has 12,500 in it. Double clicking on it, we see that Jones here is there. If we double click on that, we then see our customer payment. Closing this back out, closing this back out. The other side then is going into accounts receivable. Double clicking on that to zoom in on it. There's the 7,500 decreasing the receivable. Double clicking on that, we see our customer payment again. Closing this, closing this. So in essence, what happened, receivable went down, cash was received, but we put it into undeposited funds until we actually go to the bank and group these two deposits together, or however we group them, and then deposit it into the bank in that grouping, hopefully daily as we receive cash as we go. Let's check the accounts receivable detail again for this 8,829 reports, customers and receivables. We're going to the customer balance detail. There's the total 8,829.50. Here's the Jones guitars that we had, 7,500 that we had there, matching out these invoice you can see. And this is how we should always see the receivable, right? We invoice and then we get paid. We invoice and then we get paid. That's how it should be. Now, of course, these aren't an invoice. Well, it is an invoice, but it's our beginning balance that we set up and then got paid. So if we double click on that, of course, then it would go back to our customer payment. So when we have the customer payment, note that we don't use, I'm going to go back to the home. We do not use customer payment to receive payment for work done at the current time period. To do that, we create a sales receipt, which will record the sale and the payment at the same time. We do use the customer payment if we had invoiced in the past, and the customer payment then, this form, just by being the form, will decrease the receivable. That's what this form really does. So we're decreasing the receivable and recorded on the other side, typically to cash in some way, defaulted to undeposited funds. You'll see now that we had this little 2 up top saying, hey, there's 2 deposits that we have not yet recorded, and that's what we need to then record at some point. So it's giving us a little indication. Also note, if we go to the balance sheet over here, back to the balance sheet, this undeposited fund is useful but often misunderstood. So if you're working and you see something in undeposited funds and you don't have that cash on you, it's like it's not waiting to go to the bank and deposit it, then something went wrong there. So this is really useful fund to have. It makes sense to have to group the checks, but it's often a fund that gets messed up, that people don't know how it works, so it's not recorded correctly. So if you see something that's in undeposited funds and there are no funds that you're waiting to go to the bank with, then you have to check something out and see what happened there. So, and the way to check it out, if you reconcile the bank accounts, will help you to see if there's any duplicate transactions that you can do. So the bank reconciliation will be very helpful for detecting any kind of problem related to something like that. We're going to make one more. We're going to go to the Home tab. We're going to go into the Receive Payments. Once again, we're looking for, this time, Smith Guitars, if we can find that with the drop down, or type in Smith Guitars, and there it is. We're going to populate that, and we'll keep it where it's at with the e-check. Again, if we check it off down here, here's the only invoice. If we check that off, it'll populate up here. We're going to keep the date the same. No reference number. That's what we're going to have. That's what we got in the mail applied to this check or invoice. If we double click on it, we will find there's the invoice that we had created. It's our beginning balance invoice again. If we close this back out, there we have it. And we're just going to save and close and check this one more time. Balance sheet. Undeposited funds now has 20,500. We really need to go to the bank. We're going to double click on that. And there it is. There's the last one. We have the 8,000. Double click on that. There is our receive payment. Closing this back out, closing this back out. The other side is of course in the accounts receivable. Double clicking on that. We see that we have our last one was in Smith, 8,000. Double clicking there. And so there we have it. So closing this back out and this, double checking this accounts receivable 829 by going to the customer balance detail. It's in our open windows. Let's go there. And there's the 829, and here is these two amounts. Again, this is what we expect to see in accounts receivable. We expect to see, invoice, payment. I'm going to close this back out. If we go back to the balance sheet, you'll see that same kind of thing here. If we go to the accounts receivable, you'll see that we should have the receivables going up and then getting paid on the receivables. We're going to change this date to 2018 and we'll see that. So all these are the opening balances. So here it is going up. Here's us getting paid. Here it is invoice. Here's us getting paid. Here's the invoice. Here's getting paid. That should be how we should see these things. The two items in the receivables should be invoices and payments. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.